about 10 days before this event, I'd come out and spent some time in this area. It was really windy out of the main river that day, so this area was a little bit more protected and not quite so choppy. And I had found some good fish in between the spider dock lily pad fields out there. Around low tide, I didn't spend a lot of time in the pads, but I fished really close to them, and all the fish I caught were kind of halfway in between some of the little islands there. So this morning it was towards low tide. The tide was just starting to swing back up, so I made my first run over here to attempt to see if those fish were still out there. So at this point I'm throwing the chatterbait looking for some of those fish.
That is a good start to the morning.
So you saw that last fish I caught hit it right at the boat. I kept throwing the chatterbait quite a bit, but I really wasn't getting many hits. Actually, I wasn't getting any hits on it after that one fish. I think I might have gotten one more little swipe at it. So I started working in the lily pads a little bit with some, this was a curly tail worm. Just kind of flipping it in the edges there a little bit to see if maybe there were some coming up there as the tide was coming up. So not really getting any hits in the spatter dock, I switched back to the chatterbait. I was still convinced that they were kind of out there in the open. I was playing with the chatterbait and also with an Ozark rig Senko with a little blade on the back of it, which had done well for me in the past.
Second bite, but that one ain't gonna make the 15 inches, I guarantee you. No, it's only 13.
I was absolutely convinced there were fish in the area. There were massive amounts of snakehead up in the shallows splashing around, but of course they weren't going to do me any good, so I was looking for the bass, and I was sure that there were some here. I just couldn't quite figure out how to get to them, so I kept switching back and forth between the chatterbait, that Ozark rig, and when I'd get up to the pads, I was flipping to the pads a little bit, and eventually that's going to pay off for me. So I got another hit pretty deep in the pads just a couple of minutes later, and when I set the hook, it just snapped. I think I'm using 65-pound braid here, and I hadn't retied in quite a while, so it probably gotten frayed down around the hook, but it literally just popped. The only thing that came back was my 3 bobber stoppers about 2 inches up the line, so I'm retying here to get back in the action. At this point, I'm using a black and blue. I believe this is a speed crawl from Zoom. If it's not, it's the LaRue Biffle bug. I had a couple of the Biffle bugs that I used, and they tore up, and I went to the speed crawl after that. Later on, I was using some of my hand poured. I've got a mold for a rage crawl looking thing, and I used some black and blue in it, and a Motorola color. All of that seemed to work pretty well.
Barely made 15, but it made it.
At this point, I had pretty much given up on the Chatterbait, and I had thrown a lipless a little bit too. The moving baits just weren't getting it done for me. So even going between the field of Spatterdock, I basically just put the trolling motor on high and moved over to the next one and started flipping again. Flipping was definitely getting a lot more bites than the moving baits were. I guess you can't get them all. That one did not break me off, but it did steal my bug. I think what I'm putting on here is the last of the zooms that I had. So after this one is when I went to the imitation rage crawls that I pour on my own. As we got to high tide, the flipping bite had really slowed down or turned off for me, so I moved over to a nearby area where I was trying to find a grass edge, and again went back to kind of some moving baits. I think at this point I'm using the Ozark rig. Still looking for a different bite since that flipping bite kind of turned off and wasn't working for me at the moment.
Ozark rig stick bait with a tail spinner comes through. But it's not 15 inches, so we'll keep it. I am starting to see a little bit of a grass edge here, so maybe that's going to be useful. And I think that fish bit right on the edge of it.
While it was a nice grass edge, it didn't turn out to be as useful as I was hoping it was going to be. So I spent a little bit more time there, pulled out a drop shot and played with it for a little while too, and didn't get another bite. Water was a lot cleaner in that area than it was in the other area that I was at. So I moved along to this marina, which you've seen me at a lot before. I really like this marina, and I've had really good success in here. Unfortunately, I pulled in as one of my buddies was pulling out, so kind of realized it probably wasn't going to be that great, but I still wanted to give it a shot to see what I could come up with.
Drop shot, another one that ain't gonna measure though. Yeah, not even close. But it's good to catch something. It's been a while.
So after spending about 15 or 20 more minutes there, I ran back across the river to the Maryland side, and this little pier had a lot of current just ripping through it, and decided to give it a shot with the drop shot and see what I could come up with on it.
Another short drop shot fish.
With the current and the boat bouncing around like it was kind of hard to feel the bite, and I unfortunately let this fish take it a bit deep, but took my time with it and was able to get the hook out without causing any damage.
I'll let him take it a little deep, but there's a way to get it out without hurting him too bad. There we go. No harm.
I'm using one of my hand-poured, kind of a robo-worm. It's a little bit thicker than a robo-worm, but I really like this red with gold flake, and I use it quite a bit when I'm drop shotting.
Another short fish, but that one possibly could have kept. I don't think so.
After spending just a couple more minutes there, I decided just to go back to my original area. Tide was getting to the lower point at this stage, so I came back and started working on the same area again with the same techniques. Chatterbait out in the open and flipping, and again I'll get rid of that chatterbait pretty quickly because it really wasn't doing me anything, and went back to the flipping.
Glad I came back here. That's certainly worth it.
So I apologize for the tunnel vision that's going on here. I missed a fish catch. It was not a keeper fish. It was just under 15 inches, about 14 and a half. But my camera was overheating on me, so I used a wet rag, put it on top of it to kind of cool it off a little bit and let keep things going. So again, apologize for the tunnel vision, but it is what it is. If you're keeping count, that's number 5. We're about 30 minutes before weigh-in here, so it was really a grind to get 5 keeper fish in the boat, but I'm glad that I got that 5th one. It makes you feel a lot better. So even with only less than 20 minutes left, 5 keeper fish, I had about 12 pounds on my Bubba scale. Feeling fairly good about it, but decided to grind it on out for that last few minutes and potentially get one more good one out of there. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, but you got to keep trying, right?
Well, thanks for coming along on my last, probably my last Potomac River tournament. Appreciate you tuning in and watching these, and hopefully you'll continue to watch me as I try some new lakes down in the Tennessee area. This is the first time I've really gotten on a good flipping bite. I've caught a few fish flipping here and there, but never on a pattern like I was able to get on today. So that was interesting and fun. Ended up winning the tournament with 12.22, I believe it was, and had big fish at 3.28. So it's a great way to go out. My last tournament on the Potomac River, and my last tournament with the Potomac Bassmasters. It's been a great group of guys to fish with, and I'm going to miss fishing with them. Hopefully we'll keep in touch as we go along and maybe have an opportunity to fish together here and there along the way. If you're in the Potomac area, I highly encourage you to look those guys up. I learned a lot from them, and it's a good group of guys to fish with. So adios, Potomac Bassmasters. Hope you guys will continue to watch me as we go along. Out.